Hi Rashmi, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me over. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you about probably one of my favorite works and my favorite writer.
So Rashmi, the reason you're here is that I am doing this year, reviews of books and movies. So
Mhm.
the playlist under which I'm doing it is called Reads and Reels. And today we are going to talk about the Dollhouse. So do you want to sort of introduce, what exactly is the play all about and why we should talk about when we talk about gender equality or women empowerment?
Okay. I think the title itself, A Doll's House, speaks volumes and phenomenally about the issues that Henrik Ibsen is trying to talk about. And let me tell you about the writer. We probably generally speak very highly about Shakespeare and other writers, but Henrik Ibsen is considered just next to William Shakespeare. That is the power of this writer. And the best part is he's talking about the 19th century Norwegian setup and particularly the position of women there, because he was a staunch feminist and somehow he strongly felt, probably his mother should have handled things like that in marriage.
Yeah.
So if we look at the play A Doll's House, he, through the protagonist Nora and her predicament in the marriage, he actually is trying to question or put across that entire revolutionary idea of how a woman is supposed to deal with the sense of marginalization or subordination, or probably a very condescending treatment in marriage as a relationship, of course by virtue of her identity as a woman. And I think the radical aspect and what Doll's House is known for is the woman has the courage to stand up for her rights,
Yeah.
speak for the first time, speak and say, I am entitled to this kind of respect, right? And my own identity matters to me, and for which she has the courage to leave the house, which was unthinkable at that time. Probably 19th century Norway, where the whole identity of a woman surrounds around her identity as a wife and a mother. And when she speaks out, asserting herself, trying, expressing a desire to know herself, because she seems to be completely disillusioned by everything in her marriage at that point of time, to such an extent that Henrik Ibsen was asked to change the ending of the play.
Yeah.
All right. So it was a revolutionary play and it created a sense of shock because it was asking the audience to question the efficacy of the belief system, which is creating so much of unhappiness in the lives of people.
True.
So I think that is dynamic.
So, again, going back to the play, in what ways does the play explore the theme of self identity versus societal expectations?
I think societal expectations in this play are primarily related to gender based. And the best part is while he's talking about women who are kind of entrapped in the stereotypes of being a wife, playing the perfect wife, being the perfect mother, he also very skillfully and subtly talks about victimization of men along with women in this social setup, because men are supposed to live up to rather the public image, what will people think, or be the perfect husbands and earn a living, make sure they're catering to these needs. So I think the entire social setup and the belief system is such that it kind of creates a trap. Okay, it's like a cage. You are given the freedom, but only within this particular cage where you can move around. So where is the scope of your own identity? Because you are playing the role, or you are expected to behave in a particular manner, and all your life, Torvald, Helma, or Nora, they are living the life or living a kind of a role that they have been expected to. So the entire identity is subsumed. And since Henrik Ibsen was such a staunch feminist, he particularly says how a woman herself is completely marginalized, And what I like is simple, endearing terms that the husband uses, my little squirrel, my little skylark, which look like, terms of affection are actually so condescending, so diminutive in nature, right? Where her identity has absolutely got no scope. That is the trap of
Yeah.
stereotypes where your identity gets completely submerged.
And think of it that, what we are talking about right now, that is something happened in 19th century. So, it is amazing. So the next question is, how does the dollhouse challenge traditional gender roles? I think it's partially you sort of talked about it, but let's elaborate on it.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of challenging it is woven into the fabric of the entire play, because the whole point that Henrik Ibsen was trying to make is, are these stereotypes, is this mindset making people happy? Are these women happy? If you actually see in Act One, Nora, while talking to her friend Miss Lynn, she says, am I really incapable of anything serious? They go through the sense of vacuum, the sense of powerlessness, the sense of emptiness.
Yes.
Okay, even while playing the role that they have been asked to, then what is the whole point of having such stringent, rigid stereotypes, which is taking away the whole joy of life? So, in fact, the whole point of the play, because Henrik Ibsen was called a modernist writer, the whole point was to create a cognitive dissonance among people and say, is it right to continue following this? Isn't it high time we change this?
Yeah.
These types.
So again, the doll's house is, as the name suggests, how does the dollhouse serve as a symbol in the play? So
Yeah. Actually, it's very interesting because the title itself is a very powerful metaphor. Okay, when we call a doll and her house, it talks about Nora, her house, and of course, it's a representative, it's a metaphor for entire Norway. And honestly speaking, even in 21st century, I feel the whole world. Okay, even in 21st century, we can relate to this idea because here she is a doll in her own house. So when she is in her father's house, she is her father's doll. When she comes to her husband's house, she is her husband's doll. And I think what is beautiful in this point is she's treated like a plaything. She's a toy, manipulated, played around with by the man of her life. Earlier it was a father, now it's a husband. So it's like, where is her say? She has no voice, she has no power, she has no decision making capacity. It's like everything is late for her, and she just has to play according to other people's instructions, like a puppet in somebody's hand. I think that's a beautiful part of the play.
Yes. So, how is the tension between truth and deception presented in the play?
I think it's heavily there right from the exposition, because what we feel the truth for both. If you look at marriage as a relationship, that is the key part of the foundation of the play. We look at Nora and her husband Torval. They feel that a perfect trust, a perfect life where everybody they care for each other, they're doing their job as husband and wife, is the truth that they are living. But surprisingly, the tension comes in right from the beginning when we see that there are these small lies that Nora is living through. The act of eating macaroons, which becomes big because she has borrowed money without her husband's permission and she has not even told him about it. And then she feels guilty. She's being blackmailed because of this lie. So there is heavy internal conflict which builds the tension and the fear that what will happen if my husband gets to know about it. And the best part is the climax of the play, where we see the tension between husband and wife, because suddenly the bubble of truth which they are living in is, it's kind of deflated, it bursts, and suddenly they realize that the entire life they're living a lie. Okay, because Nora feels that husband is going to stand by her, protect her, no matter what happens. But in a fraction of a second, where he feels what people will think about him, he denounces his wife completely, and it shatters. She realizes, this is the truth of my life. This is the truth of my marriage. And the husband feels that, okay, fine, she's been a perfect wife throughout, and oh my God, she has been hiding this from me. So all my marriage is a lie. So it reaches its peak to the climax, and which kind of gives a completely new direction and the courage probably to Nora to take the decision that, oh my God, my marriage is a lie, my life is a lie. I have to break out of this and live my own truth.
So it is so interesting. Since I started this playlist, Reads and Reels, I've met some amazing women with whom I have done the review, who are like-minded, who has given me some fantastic ideas. So I'm so thankful to you for taking out time and being on my channel. But at the same time, do you have anything else to add which we have not covered during our conversation?
I think what I inherently feel, even as a 21st century woman, and my takeaway from this book is what is very important in any relationship is the element of respect. Whether it was 19th century Norway or 20th century, or it could be any part of the world, even if you're talking about England, Pride and Prejudice, the whole idea, the whole fight for women is respect us for what we are, for who we are, for our individuality. And I think that is something that all women probably can relate to and would love to pick up this book to understand what happens when you don't feel respected and matched.
Yeah. So thank you so
Mhm.
much for joining me. For all my viewers, if you've not subscribed to my channel, do subscribe. We have this amazing group of women. We discuss on gender equality and human rights actually. And I think
Wow.
it is amazing how I have been able to meet all these women who inspire me as well. Thank you so much.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you. The pleasure is entirely mine. And I really appreciate you taking up something like this, which is really going to make a difference to so many lives. Thank you so much.